how the jobs where you even have is not enough, how you don't have money for education, how you don't have anybody helping you. I don't work for government, I'm not a government employer. I'm not earning any money, 1 naira from any government. I run an NGO. Okay? But even saying that does not mean that you as a young person does not have a voice to hold government accountable. It is your job. So, but what you need now that we have found our voice, we have seen it, that you can make a change. But not a change through violence. Not a change through destruction. Not because it's like you are voting yourself now. If you destroy the things that are around, but that's because in short, people will be thinking something is wrong with you. You can make your point and make it loud and clear. As a matter of fact, you can determine what happens by how coordinated your point, your ability to protest and make your voice. We have seen what has happened in the last few weeks. That's true of us. Now, if I tell you that you as a young person, as a youth, have the most powerful platform to cause government and good governance to happen across the country, will you believe me? Can I repeat myself? Now, you people as youth have the highest, most powerful platform to determine what happens across the country. You know why? Because of your population. And that's why any nation that cannot recognize how to mobilize this large number of people, which makes the greatest population, is missing it. So I am saying, peradventure, we don't understand this. We should look at how do we channel this into a positive energy. So it's not an energy to destroy things. It is an energy to make your point, but not to destroy it. I don't know whether you get my point. So we're not saying keep quiet. I think you should speak and speak loud. But you should be clear what you are looking for and coordinate how you make that happen. Praise the Lord. So I'm going to try to close because I think the audience, most of the people are here. I also would want to, because I've heard 3 persons talk. The reason I responded was when my brother spoke. So I wanted to remind us that it's not about what we're looking in the hand of somebody. It is about what you can do. And I believe there's a lot you people can do. You understand my point? You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So please, are there some other people who want to air their views? Because I really would like...
There is one element of autonomous community. First, I want to say that apart from the youth having a lot of issues with financial freedom, we have a lot of land wastage that would have been used for a lot of agricultural training or maybe learning of different things that would use money to the society, and those lands are wasted. Secondly, I have noticed that currently in Abia State especially, we have limited skill acquisition centers that would have been used to train the youth and those that don't already have any skill, and they can be maybe self-employed and use those skills to establish their own strength. And with this, and another challenge we have is the challenge of water supply in some of our communities. Some of these youths, when we come back and maybe after the day's work, let's say for those of us that are under our parents, and we are still expected to go to a stream that is very far from the house or something like that, to go and fetch water and come back, which may be tedious. And you see that at some point, a person is expected to stop doing certain things. And because of these, those skill acquisition centers around that can help the youth develop skills, it becomes very difficult to engage the youth in what is positive. And you see these people coming out, becoming very dangerous, and they become very, very aggressive in the society.
It's the importance of looking at what are the social amenities that you require in a place. Because there are certain things that will make life easier. If you have water, if you have electricity, you have good roads, there's so many things that can help develop a place, save time, ease of doing business, and so many of that. So those things are also the things that are also affecting some of the things that the young people are doing. Okay? No noise, no noise, I beg, no noise.
My name is Uche. I'm from Omakala. First of all, I want to thank our mommy who gave us this great opportunity to air our views and our mind. Such an opportunity like this before. I want to thank her very much. Also, our youth, we are trying. We are hard working. It's not that we are not trying, we are trying. We are trying. But the most important thing is finance. The most important thing is finance. Likewise, I came out from secondary school, and for me to further ahead, there was no finance. There was no support. What my parents told me, I should go and engage myself in an apprentice. So I went into business. The business I went is a packet medicine there as a chemist. So after learning the business, I came out. There was no money also for me to open the business. So all these things happening now, it is drawing our youth back. The most important thing is money, because money answers all things. If I thought we can get the support from the government, like this space acquisition, if anybody that wants to be a mechanic, that wants to learn a plumber or learn any business, the government will sponsor him or her. I don't think that the youth will be. I don't think that what is happening now will be happening. So we need help. We need help. Like the most, let me say in Niger State and the remedy now and the most easiest way of making this money is riding keke na pep. So I was thinking, without keke, can't our youth do any other thing? There is no job. You finish university, you have your certificate, there will be no job. You also go and learn the business, the apprentice, and you come out. There will be no money to sponsor you and to help you to open a shop. So what I'm saying now is that we need help. The youth need help. Most of us, not that we are lazy, we are hardworking. We have been struggling, we have been trying our best. But we need sponsor, we need support. Thank you very much.
In terms of the kind of work we do, and when you are being put in a place where you are exercising that thing that God has created you to do, you will enjoy that work. And there are some ways you learn, you know that. One, what are the things you enjoy doing? If your work is about what you enjoy doing, you do well. Two, what are the things you have desire? You just love those subjects. So, for example, if it is like you like dancing as a person, and your job has to do with dancing, you will enjoy it. What are the things that people say you know how to do? The things you have ability to do. Those you will enjoy it. One of the things I will encourage you, if you are hearing me, if you have a way of looking for a book that is called The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, I encourage you to read that book. That book tells you that it says your shape. Everybody whose job is linked to what they have, their spiritual gifting. Then the P is the kind of personality they have. The H is about their heart desire. A is about their abilities. P is, or the E is about their experiences. So it's shape. S, spiritual gift. H, heart desire. A, abilities. P, personality. E is your experiences. The things, experiences you've had in life. Some of those are also how God is trying to talk to you about the things you can do. So I hear you, which means that perhaps before you start giving people, so it's not just about keke, that somebody can come in and say, let me engage with you and see what are the kind of jobs that God have equipped you with the abilities, with the kind of personality, with experiences to do. Because as you begin to do those work, it enables you to do well because you'll be enjoying it. If you go into a place, you are there just for when in short, every morning to go to work, you will get tired. So I am trying to see if there are young people here who we want to be able to run through a training that will enable them identify the kind of jobs they can do. I am willing to work with you, that you will be able to set up maybe organizations, companies or whatever in line with those jobs. And you'll be able to, so I'm looking for young people who perhaps from not just employing themselves, but you'll be able to employ somebody else. So if you are like that, I would like you to raise up your hands because I would like your name to be written. Let me explain what I mean. Let me explain what I mean so that openly let them just understand. Remember, I started by saying to you that you are the solution. A lot of people who made it in life, they didn't just start one day and make it. There is a process. So those who would like to run their own personal businesses, set up companies, it doesn't matter how small, but they would do it by connecting it with the things that God has destined them to do, which they can learn. They will know your kind of things you enjoy doing and other. Those are the people in Sikahaweliaka. So that you know it means that you go through a training with maybe you should those ones can come out. So that they can just, I don't know, to come out so that somebody can write your names and contact. I feel that we should be able to engage you in some form of special training, maybe social entrepreneurship training that will enable you set up your own companies. You at least you employ yourself. Someday you employ another person, another person. It is not the general crowd. It could be graduates amongst you. It could be whatever. You know, perhaps that way we even start with those graduates who have something they are doing and it's something they would like to do, connecting to what they enjoy doing. And we need to do that training. Then maybe starting from there, we can start doing that. How many of you here are graduates? Please can
My name is Chukwu from UUA, Autonomous Community, precisely in Tumoko. I read Polymer Industrial Engineering. I graduated 2012, South 215. Now, it will be very, very necessary if you assist us to draw employment to the village. Previously, when we were in school, there is a couple of hours that you put people into parliamentary jobs. Then we were hoping that when we graduate, we will meet such opportunities. But along the line, so it's very unfortunate that we did not meet that opportunity. And since then, we'll be having this meeting and it has not been turning out positively. So we really hope that this particular one will still not head towards politics, but to earn us employment. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Akomas, a graduate of Michael University of Agriculture. I studied computer science, graduated 2015, served 2017. Thank you. My name is Ogetukubo. I studied public administration. My name is Ogetukubo, where I studied public administration from Federal Polytechnic. Canada Federal one person.
My observations.
One house.
My observations as a man on a background. Number one, we appreciate you so much.
Hello, one house. Listen.
One of the things I observe is that some of our people never for many years graduate here from Ossah. And unfortunately, and where capital had established themselves. Some of us before believed that some of our brothers and sisters who are well-to-do, Ossah, supposed to be helping the ones and some of those people Agala to at least 75% of underage. They are doing well, both in the government, in the business, and otherwise. And they will be turning them down continuously until they room with politics. That's number one. Number two, I think that some of you, that people respect a lot, can be able to call some of those dignitaries we have in Ossah and advise them to help the young ones who can have pata. When you talk about the anger in the youth, all those things in our course here, a lot of us, a lot of our big brothers and sisters who are very, very stingy. About every Christmas, how do we go? Their money will not come out again from January to December. Another thing I observed when we were talking about Gideon, right? And the scripture. we young people, I think we need something like people that the money.
Mentor.
No, they're not people you invite to come and talk to us and
Motivational or motivational speakers.
people that knows how to advise you to use what they have to get what they want, to grow from one strength to the other and all that. If we get people like that, who will now understand that we have a lot of abilities in us that will come out. So for now, that's my observation.
You are looking at it beyond what you see government do. You also think that the others should also do that. Help. While I cannot say how many, sometimes you will not know how many people that have other needs. So I can't speak for everyone. But I understand that there's a need for clearer direction, mentorship, training, getting people to encourage you, and also making sure that this support that you need should be an ongoing thing and sustainability. It should not be tied to elections. That when people do elections and they come in to woo you to vote, and then they will you to vote, and they are no longer accountable to you, it's not right. Development, provision of welfare, provision of security is the thing that government is supposed to be providing. They're not doing you a favor. Providing infrastructure is not a favor. It is a demand because there is resources and there are funding that's supposed to be doing that. But what we are saying here is, let's find better ways to articulate it so that the anger will not make you destroy things. But let that anger be channeled positively, that you make a demand. And that demand is very genuine. That you're saying, come and help us. Let this help become continuous. Okay? Now, I would also know that there was a time, and this is something to remind. I recall several years back, I think around 2005, I had been able to promote a revolving loan in this place village. That revolving loan, at the moment, I don't know, it's like people were not accountable because there was a steering committee selected from each of the group, and I'm talking about as far back as 2005, or so, long time ago. So there is nothing wrong. We can still look at, is there a way to bring up, if they bring something like revolving loan that people can contribute to, maybe this year, people, that particular one, about 30 people were benefiting from it every year, but it was not very sustainable. So we need to make sure that we find ways of supporting this. And again, you are saying something that he talked about, having a training for you. So when you go to write your Unugawa, your palliative, the small token palliative, India made a Monday Ossah, those who want that training, they were also going to collect their names.
Some information, that revolving loan can be re-established. Try to find out from the people in the background exactly what they want. Because it's something that is happening in Enugu or Abuja, is succeeding over there.
This was in this village.
No, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the branding machines.
No, let me explain to you. We did that one. There were people were trained in this hall. Apart from that, the issue about branding this, which was supposed to be community, there was a revolving loan. Each person would develop what they want the loan for. They will make an application, and there was a steering committee. It is what you wanted that they would. It was small money in those days. I knew people got 5,000. So I think that time maybe the highest would be something like 35,000. There was somebody selling and that money they would do it, use it, and somebody would take. And we found out that even at that time, 5,000 made a little bit of difference. Somebody who could put up and it became something. So my point is that people were developing. There's no problem. One can look at how do you reestablish that, provided that the issue of accountability will be that it is not somebody you collect the money, you will not return it. Remember, this is not government. This is a non-government doing this. But beyond this, I also think it is right to look for ways of engaging yourself with some other, because there are also other opportunities that government has established so that you can assess it and be able to do well. But I believe at the end of the day, it is still that Gideon thing. You know, I'm going to, because whilst I want to ask you, I have asked my brother-in-law here, Reverend Ndudima Gomo, because sometimes certain things that happen that you're wondering, why is it like this? Remember what Gideon was saying? There's something, he said, why is it like this? And I know that part of where we read from that Judges 6, it was that people sinned, the nation sinned, and God said that to allow them for their enemies to deal with them. But when they turn back, it is a difference. So I'm going to ask him to make some few comments, and he will also bless some of the people who want to go. Because one of the things I believe that there are some people, if you can say, from this day, I want my path to be different. I want to bring myself in alignment with the word of God. Hear me. You see this palliative, it has expiration date. You carry it maybe 2 days, whatever, 1 week, it's finished. But there is a grace that you can tap, that the glory will continue. And that is what is desirous in my mind. There are many of you here using drugs. That drugs you are using is also affecting your future. So some of the things, there are certain things. So if there be a declaration that needs to be made, I would like that also to be made. I would also like him to ask of these some of you who would be willing to say, I am willing that to make peace with God. So that at least I know that one's covered. Let's be talking about it, because I know once it's done. But the Bible tells me that, seek you first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and every other thing shall be added unto you. I'm not saying that other things will not come, but I'm asking us that some of you who I'm going to encourage to please do answer that call. We make a difference, so that we'll see how we are checking this. Let's deal with it from both spiritual, physical, economic, political angle, and all angles, so that you will have an all-round success. My name is Dr. Uju Agomo. I'm the Executive Director of Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, Prawa.
Okay, ma. So, can you, in precise terms, tell us why we are here today? What's happening here today?
Today, what we are doing is to provide some palliatives to youth who we see as vulnerable youth, and youth, to be able to at least let them understand that we care about them. We also use that as a platform to interact with the youth today, to find out what their grievances are, what their concerns are, and then begin to engage with them in such a way to enable them channel their energy positively, while also working towards self-development and indeed development of the environment.
Okay, ma. Quickly, can you relate this with what's happening recently in Nigeria, talking about the NSAS protest and the resultant consequences? What do you think that you are doing that will help change the narrative in terms of the demands for the youth to be properly, adequately incorporated in Nigeria?
I think one thing we must understand as a nation is that the greatest number or proportion of our population are youth. And therefore, no nation that has this kind of demography, this kind of statistics, where you have a very high proportion of your population as youth, can afford to ignore the youth. So as you heard, many of them were speaking about the mind. They spoke about unemployment. They spoke about even those who have some things doing in terms of self-employment, that some of the resources that they generate is so minimal that it's hardly help them to cope with the needs for themselves and their families. They spoke about how infrastructural decay has also affected them. That they need water, they need roads, they need electricity, so that the little businesses that they are doing makes it a little bit easier. They spoke about the need for direction, the need for mentorship. They spoke about the fact that some of them are in educational places and they don't even have scholarships to go to school. They spoke about how it seems that people seem to ignore them, the leadership seems to ignore them until when there is politics. They spoke about even those who seem to have something doing in the community is ignoring them. So they feel ignored not only by government, but they feel also ignored by the so-called leaders, the so-called elites, the so-called persons who have money within the communities. And they see this and it annoys them. So part of what I think we should know is that apart from this demography, that these young people are also seeing the affluence They're also listening to news and hearing levels of corruption and different things that, including unresolved cases. They also listen to news about how people stack monies in bushes. They also see houses, see cars that they know that perhaps one vehicle can actually pay the salary of many of these youths. And they are bleeding with anger. So I think as a nation, we are doing a favor to ourselves by investing in the youth. And we invest in ensuring there is a holistic concept of development. And what did we do here today? We looked at issues about economic dimension. They don't have job. How can we get you to have job? Part of that job is also jobs that you can educate yourself or develop yourself. So because the truth is that the government alone cannot provide all the employment. But certainly the government can employ the enabling environment to enable people develop their businesses and run. And they make policies and regulations that can encourage these processes. So on the economic front, they need job. But it's not about only economic. You need to also deal with the psychological component. There are some of them that have issues about drugs. Some of them that have issues about, understanding their self-worth. The issue of even anger management. You need to deal with that. We also even talked about spirituality in terms of people understanding that there's always a good thing in terms of walking the right path. We also looked at the political dimension where you say you should not sell your votes. Give your vote to those you know will serve your interest, not because you ask for money or what. Because if anybody's going to bribe you to vote, the rest are short. It is like a business. You have no basis to ask for accountability because the person who is giving you the money up front, you don't know how he has borrowed it, you don't know what he has done. So what face will you have to ask for accountability? So we are saying let their vote matter. With what has happened in terms of answers, we now know that the youth have a voice. If this voice is coordinated positively, not by destroying any property, but positively, they can get the good governance that we are looking for. So if their votes are not sold, they know people who are credible. They get those people in, and when those people are serving them, they demand accountability. If you are there, they should be able to tell you, look, because you're doing it first time, we want another vote. We want to be able to hold you by your words. What have you done in this regard? What have you done in this regard? What that means is that before they elect people, they should know what their manifestos are. They should know what levels of contribution those people are going to give, not by how much these people have given them to vote. So it's not about, so it's a very holistic thing. So as a government and as a people, I think it's important to hear the youth. So that's exactly what we want to do. Yes?
From these palliatives, we have listened to some of the problems you mentioned. Are there plans you have towards attending to some of them?
I think what we are doing today is to actually provide a platform for these youth, for these young people to be heard. And that's what you are also here. The media is there to let them know. This, if somebody is angry, the first starting point is that you want to know why the person is angry. You want to know why the person feels aggrieved. You want to know why would the person be destroying properties? Because they feel that they have not been helped, they have not been heard. So you are there to enable them to be heard. And if you can enable these with leadership to hear them. But hear me, in terms of development and support, it's not only about government. We are saying everyone should put hands to make this work for these people. You have the elites should also make it work for them. Let's just make sure that we don't ignore this youth. It is a ticking time bomb. We cannot, as a nation, ignore this youth. We cannot, I repeat it that time, we cannot ignore them. We must learn to hear them. We must learn to walk the path with them. We must learn to hold their hands, and we must learn to ensure that we support them.
Okay, you know that this engagement is very, very essential in achieving peace in the community. How are you going to sustain this type of growth?
We worked with the structures that they have. So if you notice, the people came from different communities. We are also hoping that this will continue. We have their names, we have their contacts, and many of them, there are some of them that said what they want is some training to enable them set up their own small business. So imagine if you help to set up your business, you employ yourself, how someday you employ another person, then we begin to have a multiply effect. So we are hoping that this should not be a one-off. we are also hoping to continue to engage the leadership. And one of the things I said to them today is that they're the future. So while you are thinking and complaining about what has not happened and what ought to happen, that you should also see yourself as an agent of transformation, an agent of change. And I reminded them about Gideon. Gideon in the Bible. This guy was frustrated about the surroundings and about what was happening to him. But God was reminding him that he is the solution. Therefore, I encourage them that they should channel that solution positively. And certainly this is something that can be sustained.
Okay, briefly, man. My own question is that what is your advice to the youths of Nigeria?
Simple. Without the youths of Nigeria, we have no hope. So therefore, first and foremost, they must rekindle the values that matter. The values that matter, the core values of being credible, the core values of being honest, the core values of hard work, the core values of integrity. They must look at these values, and then that is one. Secondly, they must also find ways of making sure that their voices are heard, but positively. I think that they should shun violence, they should shun self-destruction, but I am not saying that they should keep quiet. They should please act. There are different ways you can do that. Now we have social media, so there must be a way they can begin to engage with the government, engage with their communities. But they must also look internally and ask themselves, what is it that I can do for my community using my own skills, my knowledge, my experiences, my abilities to make a difference? So I believe that perhaps there have been a lot of disappointment and failures from many around them, but they should not lose hope. They should not please lose hope, because they are indeed the future of this country. No matter what anyone says, they are the future of this country. So please let them not destroy it. Let them work together and at least see how they can use what they have to develop perhaps what I call the circles of development. And what is circle of development? That even anywhere you are, whether it is one person or two persons, try to trickle out some levels of development. And those levels of development will begin to trickle out to the others. And if every youth begin to do this in their own environment, it will make a difference.
Okay, briefly, talking about, I want to talk about the conscience of the youth now. Because this same group of people, members of society, are the same people that rig election for these politicians. Now they protested and got to this level. What do you think they should do this time, right?
I've just spoken, and I said clearly, you are destroying your future when you are used to rig elections. I say it again, you are destroying your future when you depend on vote buying. You need to be able to hold your leaders accountable. And that's holding your leaders accountable starts from you ensuring that those who believe that can serve you are the ones that you use. So what do you begin to do? Begin to ask them what are they going to offer. Begin to work with them even before the election. And please do not ask politicians for money. I know it's difficult to deal with, but I think until we have that rebirth, it will be difficult. And nothing stops them. Nothing, for God's sake, stops from the young people even to getting into politics themselves. They should feel free to do so.
Okay, ma. Lastly, from me this time around, you are from this place.
Yes.
Right? Can you please tell us the number of villages you've done this thing to? And personally, what confidence do you have that these youths have the potentials?
No, it is all the villages, what would
name them.
So you have two arms. You have Ossah and you have Omede. But within Ossah, you have Uji, for example. You have also Ijama, or Habiri Umuchime, and all the rest of that. Now, what it was necessary said, because there's no way we'll be able to do this for everyone. So for this particular one, yesterday we had about 160 women. No, it was 160 women yesterday that was helped. But today for this suite, and those women, many of them were widows. All of them were widows. All of them from the same different communities there too. So these ones were being selected. So we are doing this also for 200 plus. So that's what is happening. And what is the confidence? How do I believe that it's going to work? We've spoken to them. We've tried to encourage them. Some of them talked about mentorships. So again, this is like saying, you have a child.
Do you look at them as people that have the potential to be great?
Of course. Did you not hear some of them? Some of them said something as simple as saying, we are not lazy. He said, we can do stuff, we can do work, but we need support. So that is, and to be honest with you, every human being on the face of the earth has a potential to make a difference. So the issue is whether indeed we are articulating that for that. Okay, leave me alone.
Let me go ahead.
So the reason is that whether they are indeed able to have that articulated and being supported, many of them are misguided. Do you understand? So they need just a helping hand. Okay, so somebody may get angry and he say, I'll do this policy. And you say, okay, when you destroy this property, does the problem get solved? So, but if they understand that there are also different ways you can be heard, rather than perhaps destroying properties or stealing or doing anything else, there can be positive ways of channeling those energies.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
My name is Sunday. I'm from Amo Imidi Big.
Can you tell us briefly?
Yeah, we came to occupation. Our sister, our mother, invited us to give us palliative and show us the way to follow God. And for us to make sure that when we are young youth, we have to start something big. We cannot come to our house on one side. So we have to think for what we are doing in the future.
Do you think this gathering, this town hall meeting is a success?
Yes, it's a big something. I thank the Lord.
How do you think they are youth?
Yes, they are happy. They are happy. And let's have do more. Even from the word of God, we learn a lot of things today. So it's not for us to go home and so ourselves.
How is it shared? Is it from one community to the other?
All the villages, like now we are from Emede. All the villages in Emede get it. Both money we are 9 in Emede.
There's other villages in total, like how many?
9 villages made of Emede.
I'm the youth president of Ossah, Ancient Kingdom. The entire Ossah in general. We have 3 autonomous communities. We have Ushinapis autonomous community. We have Mbaja and Reziama autonomous community. We have Ohabre, Umuchime and Amasho autonomous community. All of them are from Ossah, Ibegu autonomous community. And gathered here today are use of Ossah and Emede in Ibegu, Umahanot. So we are happy for what our auntie, Mrs. Uju Agomo, is doing. I think this is the first of its kind in the history of this community. And we are very, very thankful for her, for this kind gesture given to the youth. At least it's a wake-up call to the youth. From her speech today, she made mention of we taking the solution to our problems, but we should not carry out things violently. If you watch the events of past weeks that happened in the country after the NSAS protests, it got violence and some youths started looting palliative from different angles of the country. But I think that thing is not a welcome development. So we are telling the youth of our nation, especially the youth of Ossah Autonomous Community, that they should be law-abiding and obey the laws of the land.
Okay, lastly, what's your message to the leaders?
Yes, my message to the leaders is that they have to listen to the youth, because we are the futures of tomorrow. We are the leaders of tomorrow. Like I said earlier, if you watch what is happening in the country right now, you will see that there are a lot of hunger, unemployment. So many people are crying, so many youths, they are out of job. They are not doing anything. So we are pleading to our leaders to come to our rescue. Those who can acquire skills, let them assist them. Those who are willing to go to school, let them assist them, so that our youths, what is happening now, will not lead to the future of this country.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. How many youths have benefited from this palliative today?
Yes, we are almost 200 youths from the 3 autonomous communities, including the youth from Emede.
Okay. Thank you. Can you describe the palliative you have benefited from?
The palliative?
Yes. Now we're giving to them. The palliative given to them. Rice, whatever.
Yes, it's the palliative. There was money attached. Then inside it, there were indomie, spaghetti, geisha, something you can use it. Then including rice too.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Kelechimo. I'm the program officer, Prawa, Abia State. What you see here is sponsored by Prawa and Osiwa. It's a little way of encouraging the community and the youths.
I hope these empowerment or these palliative people are given today doesn't have any political undertone.
Of course not. In fact, this is not the first time something of this is happening. It doesn't have any political undertone, I can assure you.
Why is it now that the COVID-19 is almost down and the palliative is still going on?
Well, as you can see, this issue of palliative is supposed to be something that should be continuous. The youth generally in the country, everybody is feeling sad. And you can imagine what happened the last time. After the peaceful end SARS protest, there was a vandalization of properties by hoodlums. So doing this is a way of